Welcome everyone to not the Lightcast anymore. We are going to be temporarily untitled, I guess, for this episode, but you're getting the same content. Austin Keeney, Matt Nelson here. I should put our names up, so that should.
The the show formerly known, Kini, as the Lightcast. Um, we are taking applications. Is that right?
We will take, yeah, we'll take suggestions. We didn't. A lot of this happened so fast that we didn't really think about like, oh, I guess what are we going to call the podcast now? But the podcast is still here, and I'm happy for that, Matt. So
Yeah,
let's.
and just to show the listeners how very little has changed, we decided to just go ahead and do a podcast like nothing's happened. If you want, we could pretend that nobody's in the transfer portal. I think that might be a little tougher to do than pretend that our name isn't changing and our site isn't changing. But we're excited for this change. Is that right, Kenny?
We are absolutely excited. So this is also our pivot to video. So
Yeah, how about that?
normally honestly I'm sitting on my couch. I'm half watching a game that I bet on while we do this, but we got to be a little bit more professional now. So
You would never.
Chris Williams, hey, this is you're getting the most professional product that you can get out of the two of us right now.
That's right.
So
That's right.
CF After Dark feels great. Feels great to be still doing this though. I think that's what I'm most excited about is the content that we're going to put out is going to be the same. We're still going to get together in pod. We're going to do a whole bunch of fun stuff that is a lot like what we would do at Wide Right, but now we have a boss that we know. And should I call him my boss? Should we call Chris our boss?
Uh, is Jake? I think Jake Brand is actually our boss.
Jake
Is that
Brand
right?
officially
That's right.
the former intern turned boss.
Intern, I'd read intern to boss. Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled. I've been around here for a long time, about 10 years now. And originally, when this was started by Dan George and oh, who am I missing? Dan George, Derek was around a long time ago as well. Um, this was kind of a place to get a different type of content than what Fnatic offered, right? There, some of the crazy stuff was not always welcome on the message boards, and just kind of funny how it all comes full circle 15 years later. And Chris has been super welcoming to us. Vox has been super not welcoming to us, which is the company that owns SB Nation. So I encourage you, if you haven't, to listen to what Levi and Matthias put out because they talked a ton about that. But the this snowball has been rolling down the hill, Keeney, since you came on board, since Vox purchased SB Nation, and right away changed the commenting system, pushed some of the most talented people out, and the feel of any blog that SB Nation had changed immediately. And since they've shuttered some of the websites, Keeney, I think it's MLS Soccer, they closed down all those blogs, and they've been selectively, picking certain baseball blogs, football blogs, and shutting them down.
The
And
college ones too. I mean, I
yeah,
think
there's
I think
only about
Oklahoma State got shut down,
yeah,
Cincinnati got shut down. Like part of what was, well, I guess what made us think about like, okay, well, what could we do we wanted to make sure this thing could keep going. We didn't want Vox to be like, all right, we're just going to cut you off completely, and then you're not going to have a website anymore.
yeah. And a couple things I've been asked about. I'm sure they'll hit on it too. But Vox owns the name, so this was started by those guys. As a WordPress site. If you're 20 and listening to this, you maybe don't know what WordPress is, but it was like one of the first blogging forums. I'm sure it still exists. I think
Oh, we are
you can.
WordPress. We're WordPress. Oh, sorry, Wide Right is WordPress
That's
right
what I
now.
thought.
We
Okay,
went to Chorus and then back to WordPress.
looks a lot different than like WordPress did back in 2010. I can assure you. Um, but Espionation actually bought it from them. Right, said, you guys, we like what you're doing here. Would you be our Iowa State blog? So we kind of have a different path than most. A lot are they were Espionation's creation. So we tried to buy it back, and they said no. So if you've been wondering, they will own like the Twitter and Facebook feeds, and I'm sure they'll try to replace us, which will not be easy. And I don't even know what their desire is going to be long term to even do that, let alone in the middle of the basketball season. So I would say, Keeney, that's probably the most common question I've gotten, other than, will we still be allowed to talk about nonsense on the Lightcast? Which the answer, as you see here, is clearly yes. So,
Matt,
and
Matt, who's the dad of that Iowa basketball player? Should we jump right into that? No,
I had that written down in my notes, Keeney.
do not say that.
Is
Do
now
not
a
say
good
it. That's what
time
you
to
wrote down.
start? Okay, that's right. Do not make Keeney edit. Yeah, that was not on the list. Speaking of lists, Keeney, lists of transfers. Should we read through all 47 names, or is it easier just to probably talk about the general picture of what's going on around here?
That might be the worst podcasting of all time is just reading a list of
Just
names.
reading
So
through.
it's right up there with Googling things while you're talking about them.
No,
I guess
that's
I,
the stats and information.
stats and information department. Let's talk real quick about the fact that we are on video right now, so we get a little bit of look at our backgrounds. Matt, I'm looking at some pretty phenomenal stuff you put on the wall. I don't have anything on my walls yet. I am not prepared.
I do like the mini hoop.
Yep. My basement's a little bit in disarray. So here, yeah, you can see some Christmas presents for my 3-year-old that haven't
Perfect.
been fully unpacked yet, and I've got some wall decor that's not up yet. So more to come on that.
Yeah, if you look, you can't quite see it in this shot, but my a bulletin board full of my kids' artwork is over my shoulder. So chose to display some of my cycling stuff over that. No offense to my children, the coloring's great.
Can I
But
tell
yeah,
you
this
when I
is
when I was listening to Jake and Chris talk about the fact that we were coming over, and they're like, "Yeah, these guys can reach a younger audience." I'm like, "Geez, I'm 30 and I've got a kid, so
yep, correct.
but we are olds a little bit."
It feels that way, right? Like I just turned 33 last week, so we've been doing this a while. We're young enough to still be full of hope and optimism and have, I think, a lot of we've been influenced a lot. I know you and I both have, Keeney, by the last, oh, what, 10 years of cycling football and last 15 years of cycling basketball. Like for most of my adult fandom, we've been really good in both sports. And if you're 25, that's all you know. But you and I still have the perspective, right, of Wayne Morgan, of Greg McDermott, of Gene Chiswick, for that matter, right? So I think we can bring a little bit of balance because we've known a lot of really good years, but we still remember sometimes where it was a little bit darker than it is today. Um, this is a first though, Keeney, having what us and Oklahoma State top the list of most players in the portal now in the mid 40s.
That's where we need
And
to start, right?
yeah, and let's start. Man, there's a lot of big names. I'll be honest, there were some names, Keeney, that I saw go in the portal. I was like, who's that guy? Who, again? No offense to whoever those people are. Like Cam Smith. I'm sorry, Cam Smith. I thought you were a professional golfer. But there are people, obviously Cooper and Williams, Mr. John Tez, Carson Hansen. Cooper Ebel really stinks, right? Marcus Neal, that stinks. I
Rocco
think
Becht. I mean, we haven't even talked about the quarterback yet. So, but maybe we just need to start with this. Have you been surprised by the sheer number of people that have left?
yes. Have you?
A little bit. So this started kind of being framed to us as okay, well, if you guys are going to follow Matt to Penn State, that's their right. That's what you would expect to happen. But that could be 15 to 20 guys. And now it's turned
Yeah.
into 40 plus that have announced their intentions. And pretty much every single contributor off of the football team last year is, I mean, they're not
All
coming
but all
back.
but all but one starter and the place kicker and your punt returner. Yeah, and will there be a few of those who enter and don't move on? I suppose that is possible. Keeney, you're probably talking more of a depth player, not a starter. That number's really high. Um, I think initially we maybe all thought and heard, 10 to 15 good players, maybe 20 total, and it's been double that, right? It's been every starter. So um I have two thoughts in my head, right, that I want to run by you. The first one I think you'll agree with. The second one, I don't know, I've kind of come up with on my own. The first is that this is the first time that we've gone through this, right? Other programs, this has happened to a number of them. Heck, just Washington State a year ago, where our new head coach is coming from. So this is clearly not new, but it is for us. We've really not had these type of defections in any of our major sports, other than wrestling. But we had a lot of activity in of some really high caliber players too, so it kind of washed that out. Um, yeah, that's been the hardest thing to square. Um, I
Nothing compares to a football team. Like when
no,
TJ Otzelberger came in, we replaced pretty much the whole basketball roster, but that's 12 guys. That's not
correct.
60
47.
to 70 that we're ultimately going to have to bring in. So
Correct, which is a huge number. But what sounds crazy is that this is not uncommon for this sport. Oklahoma State is going to lose more than us. Washington State, what was the number last year? Almost 70. Heck, Dion, when he started at Colorado, had to bring in what, 65 new players, like 50 plus of those were transfers. So then it happened.
It's a little weird that we're the example that's being made when Oklahoma State does have more guys right now that
Yeah,
have said they're going to transfer.
I think it's because of how successful of a season we had, right? Being ranked in the top 25, being 5-0 at one point. That's where I want to go with this, though, Keeney, right? So if you look at the list of people with a lot of folks in the portal, it's Virginia Tech, it's Penn State, Oklahoma State, us, places where coaches walked. But it's not just places where coaches walked. West Virginia is on that list, right? Arizona was on that list last year with Brent Brennan. Almost the entire team transferred out in year two, right? Not year one. Um, when I look at that list, what I see on that teams, with the 20, let's just say 20 plus transfers and up, are teams with brand new coaches like us, teams where it's like maybe early on year two, like Rich Rod is year two. He's probably okay with those 25 guys leaving. Of all the programs on that list, to me, we are the one example where we had a very good season and things are going very well, have been going well, right? And a coach bolts. Would you describe Penn State as having a good season and things were going very well there? Would you describe Virginia Tech as having a good season and things were going well there? Right? None of those other ones fit the mold. So I think because Campbell, I think this just speaks to what these players Keeney thought of our former coach.
Yeah.
Right? No, nobody else had that situation happen. Right?
What's a
A
little
lot
bit
of
of a
those other,
reality check for Iowa State fans too.
yeah.
It
The,
like these guys took below market deals because they wanted to play for Matt Campbell and they wanted to be where Matt Campbell was because he had been here long enough that like he was the program. 10
look
years
at
is enough time to establish culture and have guys that are here for multiple years, and that's
it's
what it
people.
is. So this
It's clear
is
people liked his culture, what he preached, and I mean, Keeney, the 15 guys in the NFL right now, um, bears out why some of these players want to play for him. Right? He has developed people and gotten them into the league, and I think that's the thing that if you weren't aware of before, you are now. When you join a football program, you don't join the facility, the university, um, the prestige, the fan base. You join the guys on the team, and you join the coaching staff, and that is why you pick those schools. The third reason, obviously, is money. That's Keeney. We can get into that. You mentioned it. A lot of our guys are
some of these guys are
probably
going to get paid. Guys that had took below market deals before, they're not going to do that again. Not for a new coach.
and also I wonder if Keeney, if there's some of the opposite as well. Guys that we had spent a lot of money on to keep, and now it's going to take even more to keep him. And I also, part of me wonders if Rogers has said, instead of paying you even more than you're making, which may be well over market value, I'd rather take that and go find two younger players that I could develop. Right? We don't know how Jimmy has approached this. I think there's a lot of speculation from the fan base that he's turned a lot of people loose, whether that's over NIL or what the deal was. I've also heard the opposite, right? That they're surprised at how many people have left. So I've heard both. I have no idea which one's true. I don't know that the coaching staff would ever tell us. So I guess that's just something we'll have to continue to guess at. But the number one thing, if you're surprised, it's we had a great coach, and these players loved him, and took probably less money than what they can make at a school that can pay over the cap like Penn State can. Which whether you want us to or not, we cannot offer what did they propose? 30 million over
30,
the
30
cap.
million. Yeah.
Oh, in addition to the 20 that they're going to pay, like we can't. I mean, it's how do you keep up with that? So, um,
There was actually,
it's
so I don't know if you saw this, that
hmm,
Steve Sarkisian, they asked him in the press conference for his bowl game, is like, well, do you think college football needs a salary cap? He's like, well, we have one, but nobody follows it. So we're
correct.
not playing the same game that the Big Ten and the SEC are playing. And it,
Or
you know,
Texas Tech for that matter.
yeah, we can compete in that market when we had Matt Campbell, who'd been here for 10 years and had built a really strong culture. And maybe Jimmy Rogers will be able to do that too. We'll have to wait and see. I guess the big thing that this is just, like I said, it's a wake up call. Everything is going to be new next year. It's all new players, but it's also brand new coaches. It's new names, all the way down to like, okay, well,
Yeah,
who's the new person doing video content? It's not the same guy that
yeah.
was there before. So it almost doesn't even feel like it's going to be Iowa State football when we walk in next year. It's going to be so weird, but that's the evolution of all this. It used to be
Right.
when guys commit to going to a school, they're guaranteed to be there at least a year. And if they want to leave right away, well, it's going to cost you. You're going to have to sit out a year before you can play again. So you really got to decide, like, is that worth it for me? Or do I want to stick it out here and try and earn my spot on the field? Or, if my coach leaves, well, do I like it here? Because it's not as easy for me to move to a new spot. So,
Right.
we hired Jimmy instead of promoting from the old staff. And that was the decision that Jamie Pollard needed to make is, do you try and retain as many guys, as many coaches, players, whatever, try and keep things going where the foundation's already laid, or do you bring in a guy who's going to do everything on their own? And it's Jimmy Rogers' right to basically tear this thing down to the studs and start over with a few guys that stuck around. So I don't know. I don't see any point in dwelling on it at this point. It happened, and we just have to wait and see. We're also in the worst of it right now. We are, we flipped some commitments from Washington State, but we're going to build a team here in the next few weeks, and it's going to be way more fun talking about that than talking about all the guys that left.
Yeah, they're going to bring in starters, 20 starters, like almost the entire roster, Kenny.
Did you watch the Potato Bowl? By the way, I got to ask. You're a bowl guy. You like to watch it.
I love.
Did you watch Washington State?
The Potato Bowl.
Were you just like pointing out guys that made big plays? I'm like, oh, that guy's a cyclone.
That guy. Yeah, the Squidward meme cyclone. Yeah, I thought they played well in that game. I think it will be a lot of recruits, but I mean, I would imagine a big chunk of that roster, and not just that roster, right? You've got an offensive coordinator from Arkansas State. You've got a coach from Toledo, a coach with ties to North Dakota State. You've got strong ties to South Dakota State. It will be made up of a bunch of different programs where these players come from. And I have no concerns about not just filling a roster, but getting some decent players in, right? You are still a Big 12 school with an incredible fan base, a ton of support. People know what Iowa State is. If you're a Midwest kid, you've heard about us. You've maybe been recruited by us before. I've even thought about this for some of the geographic ties to these recruits, right? If you're Idaho, Utah, Colorado, guess which conference now plays in that footprint, Kenny? Ours does, right?
Yeah.
We've been recruiting Arizona under Campbell. That's where Jimmy Rogers is from. Guess which conference now has 2-member schools in Arizona? Ours does, right? So like there are some natural ties that I think this is going to make. His staff has got ties to Ohio, which I think is hilarious. Like you go from Matt Campbell and the all Ohio staff to somehow having Mount Union and Toledo connections on this.
Yeah, when you're pulling Toledo assistants, it's like, all right, well, let's run it back a little bit, I guess.
A little bit, right? I mean, continuity. Like again, people are used to Iowa State. I know Campbell was the coach, right? But people still remember David Montgomery from Cincinnati being a cyclone, right? And tearing it up in the NFL for our division rival Detroit. So,
well, that's one thing I hope doesn't change is that like when Brock Purdy is, I mean, obviously he's not going to be like, oh, Brock Purdy, Penn State when they announce when he's up on Sunday Night Football. But like, I hope those guys that did play here, even though it was for Campbell and Campbell's not here anymore, that they still are like repping Iowa State as much as they can.
That's one of my biggest questions is like, if you're Jeremiah Cooper, Rocco Becht, you graduated here, you played your entire career here, sans the last year. Who are you going to claim? Right? Is that 1 year stop going to bring you back for a 10-year reunion and build a statue for you and retire? I mean, unless you're Shadur Sanders, the answer is no.
Is this the time to talk about
you quit on the team you were on for 3 or 4? It's I think now's the time to talk about the fan reaction. Is that where you're going with this, Kenny?
That's been the biggest thing that I've noticed online for the last few days is spare me your letters. Actually, you gotta, thank the guys for their contributions. Like, okay, what is appropriate? Our thing is we are fans. We're not journalists. We don't toe those lines. We don't have relationships with the players. We just watch them play. So I think we are well equipped to decide to talk about how we should react or how should we treat these guys. What's the proper fan etiquette for guys that are transferring out?
Yeah. I I mean, it goes without saying, Kenny, that the first rule of Twitter is to never tweet, and that probably never more specifically applies to a situation than it does with these athletes. I think tweeting at an athlete in general is uh, risky at best and can really hurt your image as a fan base. Um, can I relate just an aside? I actually I have experience with tweeting at a professional athlete and them responding and roasting me so hard I had to block them. Um,
Let's
it-
hear it.
it's back in 2014. It was a Twins reliever. I want to say it was Brian Dunsing, and blew a game in the eighth inning in just horrible fashion. I tweeted, I'm just calling some sort of a version of a bum, and he quote tweeted me and just said something brutal. And I was like, wow, I'm never going to tweet at a professional athlete ever again because this guy's got a lot of followers, and if he's witty, I'm going to look like a fool, which I did. So I learned that lesson the hard way. I can't remember which reliever. I think it was Brian Dunsing. That sounds right. New York Yankee legend, Chicago Cubs legend, I think. Um, was a Nebraska Cornhusker reliever. Anyway, when I heard talk about him, um, here's what I think. I think two things can be true, right? We'll talk about the first. We basically have made these players professional athletes, right? So if you have spent NIL money, I have the We Will Collective towel right behind me. Um, I think it's okay to feel like these athletes are betraying you and taking your money and running, so to speak, right? I think that is a totally normal reaction. And if you want to have that opinion and put it on social media, talk about it with your friends, with your dad, fine. I don't like tweeting it at the players, Keeney, for two reasons. One, you don't know that those players are all actually going to leave. Very few of them who are in the portal will come back, but you just never know. But I think at a minimum, that also does rub off to what they may say about us to their friends. Maybe they've got teammates or people they know across the league thinking about jumping in the portal and maybe coming to Iowa State. Don't give us this reputation of being ungrateful, crazy fans, right? Like there are schools that have that. Tennessee has that. There are a lot of programs where those fans are known as being certified nuts and being bleep holes. I don't really care for that to bleed over to us. The other one that comes with it to me, Keeney, is and I want to get your thoughts on it too. But TJ Otzelberger kind of blew off a little steam after last night's win at his press conference. He got in like a 5-minute monologue, which he does not normally do. And one of the things he touched on was the stress put on these players. So to think that receiving the money and everything that's tied up with this is not hard on these athletes is very naive of you as an adult fan, as a 40-year-old man behind a burner tweeting at a 19-year-old who maybe isn't making a great decision because they haven't been given great advice, or they feel like at that stage of their life they can't pass up getting an extra $200,000. But TJ kind of said it. His own team really struggles with that, with the pressure. We've seen a lot of college basketball teams specifically struggle when money gets involved, and it's not these kids' fault that the system is a joke, that the NCAA is a joke, that they have no rules. Um, do we really need to have 1,000 grown people tweeting at an 18-year-old or 19-year-old kid because he wants to transfer when you don't know why he's transferring? Could be family reasons, playing time, money, coach he really liked left, any number of reasons. I just think that's very, very self-serving of us to think we can just put them on blast on Maine because they're leaving our team, right? It sucks.
Yeah.
It feels bad. We can have that opinion. I just really don't like it when we tweet at players. And if I'm soft, I've had people call me that on Twitter for saying that. Then so be it. Just I think it's not impossible to have a little empathy for what some of these kids are going through, especially since their coach and their entire staff just went to a different school.
Yeah. Like here's the thing. I can't fault the fan that's feelings are hurt that their favorite players are transferring, or the guys that won a lot of football games for your school are transferring, and they're going to go play somewhere else. And we're going to be, because of the way college football works, we're going to be forced to watch a bunch of these guys
Mhm.
in premier spots at Penn State. And if you look at Penn State's schedule next year, you know what? They're probably going to make the college football playoff. And you're watching Rocco Becht. I don't have any inside information on where these guys are going, but you might see Rocco Becht handing off to Carson Hansen and throwing to Ben Bramer in a college football playoff game for Penn State next year. And that sucks. And
That's gonna hurt really bad. It just is.
but yeah, I think I think you hit on that well. The thing you don't want, and this has been percolating a little bit, you've seen even like Jeremiah Cooper's been vocal about it
Mm,
online. Ben Bramer has talked about it a little bit online. Dom Orange, I saw posted something about like the guys getting hate, and you don't want it to boil over to that. So yes, I empathize with the guys whose feelings are hurt that their players are leaving, but this is, I mean, this is the way the game is played. So yeah, you're not mad at the right guys if you're just like, oh, Rocco Becht is disloyal. And I for Iowa State, we're kind of in a unique spot because you think back to Matt Campbell at Big 12 Media Day last year talking about, well, our top guys took a pay cut to stay here. Rocco Becht played for below market value
mhm.
at quarterback last year. Ben Bramer's had opportunities to transfer. Jeremiah Cooper's had opportunities to transfer for more money, and they haven't done it. So it if it was a 1 year thing, like Wazoo fans probably have more of a right to be mad about what's about to happen to them because
Yeah.
they had a guy come in, bring in 60 players. 11 months later, he's gone. He's going to take God knows how many players with him. So, yeah, I don't like the coming at the players personally. We don't want them to have to respond and be like, well, hey, this hate that we're getting is just not cool. I don't know.
Again,
I guess that's my
it's
thought.
not what the NCAA has turned this sport into. It's not their fault. Keeney, correct me if I'm wrong. That
Well,
the way it works, they're encouraged to transfer every year. It gets you paid more, right?
kind of like Matt, I want you to like put yourself in those shoes. Like, hey, you made $500,000 last year. Your coach left, and now you can either go play for him for $1 million, or you can transfer to Florida for $1.5 million, or you could stay at Iowa State and make 500 again with a whole new staff and a whole new system to learn. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, not knowing your role on the team, right? On the depth chart. I agreed. It's a lot to risk, especially if you only have a year left, which is where a lot of these guys are landing. And I got to give Chris credit this because I had not thought about this way. What did Matt say at media day or senior day? This next year's team, Keeney was going to have what, 40 something, 30 something seniors. I think it was in the low 30s because of fifth years, people who had stayed. Like it was going to be a massive class transfers. Um, you are going to have to rebuild, if not this year, a year from now, and that would not have changed had you hired somebody on staff. So the rebuild was going to come eventually, and I mean, we had an example of them at Arizona with Brent Brennan, right? Basically keeping the entire team in place and trying to just keep doing the same things. And it didn't work. They won what, 4 games, blew it up, and this year went 9-3. So I would say we even kind of saw that with Steve Prohm, Keeney. I think Steve Prohm was under a lot of pressure to take Fred's team and not change a thing. Keep running Fred's offense, let those guys do what they did best. We won some games for 2, 3 years. What did it get Prohm in the end, Keeney? Got him fired.
Can
Right.
you
So
can you imagine? I think some guys have talked about like if the rules existed the way they did now after Fred left, nobody would have stayed for
no.
that last basketball run. You would have seen George Yang playing somewhere else. You would have seen Monte Morris playing somewhere else. Naz Long, Deontay Burton, all those guys playing at another school because of a coaching change.
But for those younger at that point, back when there were rules, you would have had to sit out.
Mm-hmm.
You would have been ruled ineligible for an entire season, unless you did 4 years. You graduated, then you got a grad chance for a fifth year, like Mariel Shaq got to come here. Um,
Some of the guys, some of the younger guys, I've thought about this too. We have no idea what their conversations have been like with Jimmy Rogers behind the scenes. Like I think about like Alec
correct.
Mansky. This is pure speculation, but Mansky's not a proven product on the field. He was a
No,
priority recruit. He's a local Iowa kid and a guy that everybody thinks could be a starter. We have no idea if Jimmy Rogers feels that way. He might have met and said, "Hey,
yeah,
we'd love to have you back. I can't guarantee you're going to start next year."
he
And then
hadn't.
Mansky might take that and say, "Well, this other school is going to have a clear path for me to start there, so I'm just going to go there and guarantee myself playing time." The last thing you want to do is get stuck second on the depth chart again, and then another year of not playing before you can go play somewhere.
Correct. Yeah. I think Moberly really wants to be a Cyclone, which is why he's here. I'm assuming they told him, "Hey, we're going to probably bring in a quarterback or two, transfer wise. They have to." So, um, yeah, I think here's where I've landed on this. It hurts too much to think about right now, Keeney. Where I'll really feel it is in early September when I see Bracco to Ben Bramer highlights on my TV from Penn State. That point, I'll feel really sick. And as of right now, though, I, there is a huge period coming up here on the second. Kenny, we're going to get to go shopping. This coach with a $14.5 million budget and a lot of, his coaching staff now in place. You've got an OC coming from um, the Detroit Lions. You've got, staff coming over from Toledo, from Arkansas State, from Washington State. They're going to have to go out and find 30 to 40 players in the portal.
Matt, let me think
I think it's
about
gonna be.
running.
I
Let me
think it's
think
gonna
about
be
running
fun.
the Ben Johnson offense on Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh, how about that? You'd be in heaven. I mean that's it. It's going to be exciting. Are you going to get? There will not be upgrades, Keeney, at places at certain players, right? Cooper Ebel, Marcus Neal, Jontez, Jeremiah Cooper, Ben Bramer. Those will be almost impossible spots to upgrade. Can you get replacement level guys for some of those other players in the portal? I think absolutely you can. You may also be able to find under the radar people who are really, really good to come in and play wide receiver, to play cornerback, right? There's a lot of talent out there that is overlooked. Clearly, Matt Campbell found and developed it over the years. So um, I'm excited to see who they bring in. It's not unreasonable to think they can go 500 next year, to be 5-7. I think that's probably where your expectations have got to stop. But that's kind of the funny thing about the transfer portal era, Keeney, is you don't really know what to expect, right? Did any of us expect a Sweet 16 in TJ Altenberger's first year? The answer was absolutely not. Um, but with the defensive pieces returning, with the really good defense they had from Washington State, Keeney, if they have a top 20, top 30 defense next year, I can see them winning 6 games. And I would love that as a fan, right? Like that's what we want. We want excitement, vibes, reasons. I had a friend text me this, Justin, reasons when that whiteout game comes in late October to be really stoked to go tailgate all day and go to that game, right? I think if we get that out of next year, I think it's a successful season.
You know what helps is we're going to be a defense first team. We're going to run the ball. We're going to play some low
Yep.
scoring games. You know what helps is good special teams. You're a special teams guy, Matt. We're returning Kyle Conradi, who's probably the best kicker in the Big 12. We're returning Aiden Flora and putting him on scholarship. He's probably the best returner in the Big 12. So some of the pieces that are coming back are going to be really helpful.
I agree. Can we talk about some other people that we're glad aren't in the portal, Keeney? I've been thinking about this a lot.
Yeah, this is the time to start introducing our fun bits. And part of the pivot to Cyclone Fanatic, which is going to be great, is you do have this visual component of things, and hopefully, we can get some graphics. We can make this look a little bit cooler. So
that's right. I asked him to come.
We're going to start with.
Go ahead.
This is like. God, this makes you sound really old. Do you remember like how David Letterman did the top 10 lists? You know what I'm talking about?
Top 10. Of course I do. I love his top 10s.
On the old Late Show? Yeah, okay. So this is like our top five things that we're glad are not in the transfer portal.
We'll alternate. Keeney, I'll go first. Because we already talked about him. That is Mr. Kyle Conradi. Very thankful he's not in the portal. Love his leg. He's won enough games for us. I don't know why, but losing a really good kicker would have felt like an especially cruel blow because our kicking has been so bad over our history. Last 10 years, it's been actually great between Garrett Owens, Ass Alley. So that was a nice one for me.
All right.
Who do you take?
Number 5, Busch Light. It's not going anywhere. Still going to be drinking Busch Lights in the tailgate lots next year.
Yeah. Number 4 for me, Keeney, is clone cones. Very glad they're not in the portal. I know it's a cool thing to do, right? To go sell out and take more money and go somewhere else. But I couldn't stomach the thought of, seeing clone cones in Bramlage Coliseum or something like that. Can't deal with it.
You're a guy that goes to a lot of basketball games too. So that's especially important to you. All right.
No question.
Number 4, the Pizza Pit Welch Ave Station building. It's an institution. It's not going anywhere. And I love that.
Love that place. the rare pizza place upstairs, but you could order their food in the basement at the bar, and they will bring it to you down there anyway, which is great.
Oh
Love
man,
it.
the absolute best was like I don't remember if there was rhyme or reason to it, but on certain nights after like 11 p.m. they just start selling pizza by the slice down in the basement.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was great.
We're gonna keep in the food category, Pancheros. Uh, you can't leave me here in Ames with E. coli Chipotle. I'd be distraught. So I'm glad we can keep our Pancheros. I wish they could enter the driveway in and out of Pancheros into the transfer portal. Maybe we'll get to that list later.
Yeah. Number three. So I'll just say Hilton Coliseum slash it's basketball season, and it really softens the blow when you have two awesome basketball teams that are about to enter conference play. And this is like the most fun time of the basketball season is the Big 12 is getting going. We really don't play any high leverage home non-conference basketball games. We played Iowa at home, but like Purdue was on the road. Mississippi State was at a neutral site. The Vegas games. Otherwise, we just play slappies at home. So
Correct.
now we're really digging in and getting into the Big 12 play. Starting Friday night, West Virginia at Hilton, and I am glad about that. Hilton, not in the transfer portal.
Not in the portal. Number three for me is Jerome Tang. Um, I I really hope he never leaves Keeney. I just between the shenanigans he does after the rare event that a victory is for them, the podcast that he does, the press conferences he gives, and the bizarre things that he says. The fact that K State struggles to beat random buy games like they had 2 nights ago or whenever that was. Um, I love him. He's great for us. I hope he stays forever.
I didn't know he had a podcast. That
I
that makes me feel like way worse about podcasting, honestly.
I think it's like with the Field of 68. They like started a series. It could be a good idea to have Jerome Tang do this. I think it maybe started last year when they had all those problems with NIL. Just not great timing.
Gross. All right. Number two, Audie Crooks, not going
Mm,
anywhere. Still leading the nation in scoring, leading the nation in field goal percentage. Awesome player. She's one of ours, and decidedly not in the transfer portal.
that's right. Very thankful for that. Also thankful that Ben, who owns AJ's, is not in the transfer portal. Um, Ben's a great guy, runs some great establishments. He probably owns all of Welch at this point. Got to keep him and Welch out of the portal, Key.
All right. And then my number one, I mean, this is you could throw a lot of names out there, but I'm just gonna say Killian Torre because he's not going to the portal because he's gonna go to the NBA draft when he leaves Iowa State.
And we'll be happy for him. We'll support him when he does that. Um, my last one is Cyclone Larry. We can't lose Larry. I don't know where he'd go
Are we
if
sure? I
if
mean,
he went in the portal. Do you think
my
he's going
my
to go
sources are telling me that Chris Williams is already expressing regret about Cyclone Larry being in the fold.
to? Maybe Chris is going to enter Larry into the transfer portal.
Problem is, Larry's a big JJ McCarthy guy. You are not. Chris is not. So that's going to
I might
cause a lot of friction.
I might need to enter JJ into the portal. Can we do that list next? Can we just name between the two of us 5 total things that we want to put in the portal from Iowa
Yeah.
State? Can I go
Right.
first?
Yes.
Number 5 is Iowa State concessions popcorn. I swear they have like a party and they pop it all on like August 1st and they put it in clear garbage bags and just store it in the bowels of Hilton Coliseum until the end of the sports calendar. Like, have you ever watched when they have to refill the popcorn? It's in goes a bag of room temperature popcorn and then they'll take it and put it right in your bucket. Are you telling me, like, with all the technology we have, that's the best we can do? Let's pop all that popcorn, put it in garbage bags for who knows how long? Portal. Popcorn, portal.
Number 4, I'm gonna just do a straight pander pick here. I'm gonna say Red Panda.
Oh, yeah, come on, no.
This is
What?
all about sucking up to Chris Williams. All right. I know who's in charge now. Red Panda. Get her out of here. No more. Stop coming to Hilton.
I like that.
That's really rude though.
Um,
I'm a Red Panda fan, so I can't actually in earnest say that. But
should we let's keep the pander going here. How about Stu Mandel, number 3? Stu Mandel, you've been portaled.
how
Um,
I mean, is he even Iowa State? I don't know.
I he's not he's a villain, so I feel like we can claim that he's connected to us. It doesn't matter if he's not affiliated with us at all. He's gotta go. Stu, sorry.
All right. This might actually go, these people might actually go the way of the portal. Burner accounts like
Oh, not a moment too
Evil
soon.
Carson Hansen, Rocco Beck Burner, Ben Bramer, like all these guys. If you're running one of these accounts, you got to rebrand or you got to get out. And not a fan of
Well,
those people. So
there's nobody on the roster for them to rebrand to right now, right? Like there's
Connor
Will
Moberly and Joyer, I guess you're
Will
welcome to
Will
stay, but like
Iowa State will linebacker number 2. I mean, just name it after a position player that doesn't exist right now. Yeah, Kyle Conrarty's leg number 69.
yeah, Kyle Conrarty's third leg. I'm sure that's one. Those. These burners, man, and there are a lot of the ones that are like sending stuff at the players.
Almost all of them. It's the freaking burners, man. Just
It's awful. So get them out of here. Get in the portal.
number 1, Josh Pate, portal.
Yeah,
Just
he's
get
like
his
enemy number one now.
transfer portal, his podcast out of your ears, out of your Spotify, out of your Apple Music, out of your Twitter feed. Yes, he was. He wanted us to think that he was an Iowa State fan when in reality he was not. He's an Alabama fan. He's an SEC homer, and he's maybe to blame for Matt Campbell leaving. I I like to think that he wasn't even on his radar, and Josh Pate basically publicly humiliated them into calling him. That's my version of events. So, sorry, Josh Portal.
That's a fair version of reality, I think. I mean, he's inescapable though. He might jump on this. He might jump on this podcast just out of nowhere. I cannot get away from Josh Pate every time.
Correct.
He's
He's on SportsCenter now.
He's on ESPN. He's on Yahoo. He's online all the time. I just can't get away
Never
from
sleeps.
Josh Pate.
Used to like Josh, but now Portal.
All right. That was good. Anything else? Anyone else you just want to throw in there while we're at it?
Oh, who else should we throw in there? Full sugar pop, right? Like zero sugar options, so much better. They're better for you. They taste great. Do we need regular Mountain Dew? Is that sacrilege to say? I don't know. Maybe you're a full sugar soda guy.
Not anymore. This is one of the things that I've just sort of evolved into. I'm a Costco guy, and they sell. I don't know if you're Costco, Sam's Club. I think Ames has a Sam's Club, but like they sell basically the pallet of Diet Coke for like it's like 35 cans for like $15. I'm like, yes, give me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a Diet Coke guy now. That's my go-to, or not sponsored, but my black cherry sparkling water.
Yeah, is that Kirkland brand?
This is Walmart brand, which actually, I don't know how this makes me sound. I actually like it. I think it's good.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm a Diet Coke and a sparkling water guy.
I had Hawkeye fans on my portal list. Just again, get them out of here.
You know what would be? I just can't tell you how badly I want to beat them in September. I can't tell you how funny that would be.
I will be the worst person online if that happens. I apologize in advance to any of my friends who are Hawkeye fans because they are all dancing on the grave right now. Even though the minute Kirk Ferentz retires, the same exact thing will happen to them.
Well, they're losing guys that would have been potential successors that are taking other jobs.
Correct. Brian Ferentz, namely, he was. Could we transfer him back to Iowa? That would actually be great.
The special teams guy for Iowa's gone. He left.
They did not enjoy that. To me, that reads like I wanted this job, but Kirk is evidently never going to retire. So
they're just happy to win 8 games, not beat anybody that you're supposed to beat. Just same old forever.
Cash the checks. Let's hit hoops. End of the non-conference. Iowa State 13-0. Keeney, did you think that was possible in the preseason to be 13-0? I felt like we had him penciled 11-2, right? Losing one in Vegas, losing at Purdue.
I don't think anybody predicted we would beat Purdue. So, I mean, it feels like just an awesome bonus to have on top of things. But like, if you check any bracketology, any like KenPom, we're 4th right now, and that's actually down after the Houston Christian game. So like, this season almost couldn't be going better. knock on wood right here on the desk,
I
but
just did the same thing simultaneously. They've built themselves up a lot of leeway, and you are going to lose games. The top five in the Big 12 is really good. Um,
you know what's crazy is that we're
I'm
going to
gonna
go through the first month of Big 12 play, and I feel like we're not going to learn a whole lot more about Iowa
no,
State.
I'm gonna knock on wood again, Keeney. But the so the SEC is down. I think the Big 12 has got more depth in the middle than I maybe expected, and the Big 12 is kind of what we're used to the Big 10 being, in my opinion, Keeney. The Big 12 is extremely top heavy.
Yes.
Um, Arizona, Iowa State, and Houston all look like supreme wagons. You've got a BYU team with the best player in the country, freshman, I should say, who is still sort of figuring it out, but we know plays a crazy good style, has a great home court. Um,
DeBance
and
is
then
awesome, by the
you've got
way. It makes people sick to
Devance
say
is
it. He is
awesome.
awesome.
You've got Darren Peterson at Kansas, who because of injuries still hasn't played much, but
If I could tell you anything,
yeah,
we go to Hilton or we go to Allen Fieldhouse 2 weeks from today. He's gonna play in that game.
he will be playing, no
He could
question.
be in the hospital with his leg amputated on the morning of the game by game time because it's Iowa State. He's going to be out there. He's going to score 25 points.
Like clockwork. I'm not gonna contest it. Half court shot that you just splashed there. You've got Texas Tech, who we kind of left for dead. At least I had in my brain. I did not like the way that they looked. And then what do? They rallied to beat Duke in just like absurd, insane fashion. But past that, right? You've got Baylor kind of struggling unless they add an NBA player in January because
We're getting to that.
that's
We're
something we
almost
can do
there.
now. We're almost there. Just Colorado and UCF have been kind of nice surprises. Utah, horrible, stinky. West Virginia, not good. TCU, they did beat Florida, but still, but for the most part, has been kind of yikes. I'm gonna throw Baylor in that camp. Baylor has not looked good. Utah, yikes. Arizona State looked fine in Maui. I think their ceiling is fairly low. I just don't know how many bubble teams the Big 12 has, maybe three. There is a little bit more bottom to the league. And you mentioned it, Keeney. Iowa State's schedule through the first month of league play is going to run you into that bottom quite often, right? Let me I was looking at this yesterday. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Keeney, that February is the gauntlet for Iowa State's schedule. February is quite brutal. But
Late
in January,
February.
late
Starts on
February,
Valentine's Day where you go Kansas at home on a Saturday, Houston on
correct.
Big Monday, at BYU. You get
But other
Utah in there, but then you're home Texas Tech and at Arizona. Like the last 8 games of the regular season are going to be an absolute gauntlet. They're number one in the AP poll right now.
you're
Houston
only going to
is,
you're only going to play one ranked game in January. That is at Kansas.
yep.
In
Houston's, I think, going to round
2.5
into
weeks.
form too. I'm very afraid of Houston again because their freshmen are awesome. They're really good
And
players.
in that stretch, you get UCF and Colorado both at home. Teams that have looked a little feistier. West Virginia at home has not looked good. You're on the road at Oklahoma State. That should be a game that you can win. On the road at Cincinnati. Cincinnati looks like Wes Miller might be a Cancun candidate. Keeney will have to keep that segment rolling as we get into basketball season. And then even early on in league play, or in February, you've got K-State, who has looked pretty rough. Baylor at home at TCU, who has also looked pretty rough. So you're right. That stretch in late February, on into that first game in March with a road tilt at Arizona. But yeah, the schedule has shaked up pretty nice for the month of January. So I think
Did you go to the Houston Christian
that
game
road
last night?
contest. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you go to the Houston Christian game last night?
I did not know. My wife is ill, and I was home with the kids. So the Fog Allen, man, that's the game. How they play in that building. I think if they win that one, Keeney, you have to feel like, okay, this team could get through league play and only take 3-4 losses. That right?
That's
Maybe
if there was no wife and kids in the picture, then I'd be saying screw it and driving down there. I've always
I'm in
wanted
the
to go to
same
a
boat.
game there, and
Same.
Iowa State's going to have a great chance to win when we go.
Do you think we can get Chris to send the light cast on location?
Yeah, can we record? Can we get press passes?
Yeah. Me and you get press passes. I'm sure they'll love that at that venue. Um, Sorry, were you gonna? Do you want to talk about Houston Baptist at all?
No, I was just gonna ask if you went to the game,
That
but
game
which
was
you didn't.
that game was what I expected. They did still win by 30. I was crazy impressed with how hard that team played. I'm assuming you watched it, Keeney. They made us work, man. They were physical. They ran. They were quick. Um, and I'm not going to say we looked sleepy. I just think they played way freaking harder than you would get typically in a bye game.
Yeah, I sort of
And
half watched like the first half of the game, and this is the last time I'll be able to do that. But like, had
that's
family
right.
stuff last night. Cousins, in-laws in town. Just finishing up Christmas stuff, and this game they just didn't have to pay attention to.
And think about the timing of this game for the players, right? Like you had finals, you have a bye game at home, you go home for Christmas, see family, and then right in the middle of it, they plop. You got to come back to town on a Monday to play Houston Christian.
I think that was one of the things that TJ talked about too. Is like he gave the guys like 4 days off of just nothing, no basketball, just take a few days off, and then you immediately jump in and have to play a game. Like, yeah,
Yes,
it's an opponent that shouldn't give you any trouble, and they didn't. But it's the worst possible spot to have a game.
I'm a little worried about rust on Friday, but I'm less worried because it's at home.
Yeah,
I think that's crucial. Um, and I'm sure now that they had that game Monday, they have been back to kind of a normal schedule. So um, I think they will. I think they will roll West Virginia. I do think you could see some rust the first game or two. They may not look as good as they looked coming off of Vegas against Purdue. Right? Think about that stretch. You were really playing well, and you had a lot of games in quick succession. But that's why I like this January schedule. It gives you time to round into it. There have been years where over break you get Baylor and Houston, like your first two games out the shoot over break, which is just brutal. So
yeah, no big home games without students too. That's nice. That's good.
agreed. And
Big
I
12
actually
throwing us a bone with that one.
the Friday night 8 p.m. timing is not great for me and my wife, right? We can't take kids, our little young kids, to an 8 p.m. game. But man, that's no one's going to be working that day most likely, and it's at 8 p.m. So like, I think you will get a lot of adults who want to go to that game, right? Kind of as a kind of a New Year's thing. So I actually think that'll be a really fun environment. I think they'll have a good crowd.
I need a
Um,
boots on the ground tailgating report at Hilton on Friday. That'll help decide if I want to bet on Iowa State or not.
I'll do my weather looks great. It should be pretty nice. I'll do my best, Keeney. We are hoping to go, my wife and I, get a babysitter for the kids. So um anything else on hoops? I mean, I was
Well,
happy. I was happy to see as much Plata and Heisey and Kelderman as we got. I did not want to see full run from the starters over these two break games. I don't think you needed it. Lipsy's been dealing with some injuries. I'm glad that they got some of those other guys as much run as they did.
last thing I had, Matt, was I mean, let's talk about it. Is college basketball dead? Is it over?
I mean, if you buy what the NCAA says, they just put out a statement saying that they won't let anybody who signed an NBA contract play. But can you trust them and believe them? The answer, Keeney, is obviously no. Um,
No.
do you want to give some context to what we're talking about? I'm sure most of our listeners know.
Oh man, the thing that just absolutely blew up last week was Baylor signing a player who was picked like 31st in the NBA draft to just immediately come and play for them in the middle of the year. So I think he had been in the G League or something.
Yep, and then
He
Europe.
played summer league in the NBA, and then he went professional. He was a guy that an NBA team took, said we're going to have you play overseas for a couple years, and then maybe we'll bring you over. But
Right.
the NCAA decided, okay, this guy's got 4 years of eligibility, and he can play right now. And Baylor signed him. So like we play Baylor next week. They just brought on a guy that's 7'1" and has played professionally for years. Now, obviously the chemistry is not going to be there, but
No, for
like
sure.
they're bringing in a legit NBA prospect just out of nowhere in the middle of the season, and he's allowed to play. No
I
questions asked. So like that's where like
correct.
okay, well, where do you draw the line? Where do you say like no, this isn't okay? There was a report that a guy that is like played a certain number of games for the Bulls this year, but is on a two-way contract, was getting interest from. It's actually weird that that story just like completely got refuted like the day after, which is kind of funny. But
Yeah, most of the team said he's there.
there's another
We
one. I
haven't
think
heard from him,
Louisville
but
signed a kid that has
Louisville
played in the
signed
G
him.
League. Like,
Correct. There's been like 3 or 4. There was a couple for some small, like one that's Santa Clara, which is out in California, that you didn't really hear about as much. Um, I I think what will save this, and part of me wants to be like a pox on Scott Drew, scumbag, etc. Transfer portal Scott Drew, dude. He's just doing what the rules
I have
allow,
absolutely
right?
no
Like,
problem with Scott Drew doing this, by the way. This is, I mean, he's playing by the rules that are put out for him.
should you know? But what is Scott Drew paid to do? Care about our feelings about the game or win basketball games? And he said that. He said,
Exactly.
my job is to win games. And if this guy can help me win and he's eligible, why wouldn't I sign him? So you lay the burden of blame there at the foot of the NCAA. Whoever is in charge, which right now it feels like nobody. And I do think it's started to get loud enough that Charlie Baker, whatever his stupid ass name is, had to put out a statement on it. And I think that's not just social media outrage, Keeney. You know who's outraged about it? Mark Few is
Coaches,
outraged by it.
other
Tom
coaches
Izzo
are
is outraged. Did you
livid.
watch Coach Calipari's 5-minute rant on it? Coach K, who has bent the rules at every place he's ever been, right? At UMass, at Memphis, Kentucky, recruiting violations followed him, um, right? Like thunder follows lightning. But then he gets up there and talks for 5 minutes. He's absolutely right. His. I'll paraphrase. He basically said, "We used to know what was eligible, what wasn't. There used to be standards for this. Now we don't. Nobody tells us anything as coaches, so we do not know. We have to ask our compliance officers or attorneys, but we're basically just going off of our own interpretation because there's no ruling from the NCAA." And he said at the end of the day, and he's right, this hurts high school kids because who would recruit him, right? When you can go build a team out of transfers, why would you recruit high school kids? 2, it potentially eats up roster spots for guys who have been like that mid-season guy, right? Say you've been on that squad, you're a sophomore, you worked all spring, all summer, all fall camp, and now someone's joining the team that's going to take the 10 minutes a game you were getting. It's going to make it harder for you to go somewhere else then, right? Because people don't have tape on you anymore. Like if this opens the floodgates for all of that, for all this influx of, we're seeing it with European players too. He made an interesting point. All the guys in Illinois and all these schools, right? I mean, I guess you could lump Killian Torrey and Don Plata in that category. How old
Plata
are they?
did have pro experience. I think Torre did not.
Correct. But and again, it's allowable. You shouldn't be upset with TJ for doing that. Yeah, Torrey is 18 or 19, Plata is 21. But to Cal's point, we don't. If they don't have a college transcript, how do we know how old they are? Right? Is the NCAA grabbing their birth certificates? Probably not. Because they've kind of opened this can of worms. Keeney, I don't think it's coincidence. You've got schools like Illinois grabbing 5 European players. Like, if they can get guys that are coming in 20 as a 23-year-old freshman, why wouldn't you? Right. So same thing with the unlimited transfer rule. It is just they the sport is not dead. What is protecting it, Keeney? This is my opinion. There's only 5 starting spots in each team. There's only 12 roster spots, right? You cannot just open this up infinitely because there are not 100 scholarships like there are in football. It'll mean those starting 5 players are really expensive, and that's the next step where we're going, Keeney, is you'll see crazy amounts of money go to basketball where we maybe haven't yet. A lot of it's in football. But something has got to change very quickly. And it's if the NCAA will not drive it, Congress will do a poor job of it. But I mean, Keeney, of all the things that happened during this whole thing, did you expect to see Ron DeSantis and Ted Cruz and 3 or 4 other U.S. congressmen from other states talking about Iowa State and how big of a crime it is, how many players in the portal? They clearly don't know what's going on. I would bet most of
They
them don't
got it
even know
wrong
that.
too. Did you see? Because they cited
I
an account
did,
that put the wrong number of players.
which
They
is
have
hilarious.
16 players left. Well, no, actually, in reality, we have like 30 something
Correct.
scholarship players right now.
But I like at least that they are paying attention, that they realize this is not good for not just athletics, Keeney, but it is not good for these players. Cal talked about it in that video. Go watch it. I put it out on my Twitter to have a new school every 5 years. One of the things he said that I really like, and Keeney, we don't have to talk forever on this, but Boston Keeney goes to 4 different schools in 4 years, and you earn $2 million over your career. 2.5 million. Congratulations, Keeney. Good work if you can get it. You don't get a degree. You're not good enough to play professionally. What do you do now? Right? Are you set with that 2 million? Maybe, if you made good financial decisions, if your family and your friends are fairly set and aren't putting pressure on you. How many people do you think are going to be in that spot when they graduate?
How many people are going to
Cal's
be like, okay, well, I used my eligibility. Now I'm actually going to get an education and go get a job. It's not going to happen. They're going to
it
try and
won't
catch
happen.
on it on a G League team or try and go to Europe and play professionally or something. But
And you can say that, like, a bunch of people on Twitter, Keeney, when I typo on this, right? I've said, hey, maybe don't say that to players. Like, oh, they're professionals now and they can handle it. That's the problem. They're not. They're 19. They're 20. They are making some of the money that they're worth because of the revenue of the sports that they play in, but they are not. They're not even adults yet. They are, right, legally, but they, a lot of cases, they're still living at home when they're not at school. They're on their parents' insurance. They've never really, a lot of them probably have never really had a job. If you've been playing sports, you probably haven't had the time. And if you don't get a degree and you're not quite good enough to stick for 10 years professionally, what do you do? And that's what Cal is saying. Like, as much as we want to make this professional, we are still dealing with 18 to 21-year-old kids who are in college trying to get a degree and learn how to live their life once this crazy ride of 4 years of athletics is done, or 8 years if you're Diego Pavia. And to hear Cal say that, who is the least likely person to, means that these coaches are all feeling. They all have to be. If Coach Cal is talking about this, right, the last one you would ever think to bring that up. That's my hope, Keeney, is that that will get recognized and that somebody will step in. And I don't know if collective bargaining is the way to fix it. If it's just a 2-year contract, if you get paid, you got to play here for 2 years, you get one transfer. But somebody has got to come in and put some rules on this somewhere. It'll make the
well,
sport more enjoyable. It'll make it better for the athletes too, right? It's not that
there's
hard.
got to somebody's got to come in and put rules in place, but they need to be enforceable because
Right.
the NCAA can't do it because their whole business model has basically been ruled illegal. So anytime you try and
As a
put
cartel,
any
correct.
restriction on one of them is like, hey, you're not allowed to, like, you have to set off your transfer. Well, I'm just going to sue you and then I'll win because you don't have any right to tell me that I'm not allowed to play because I'm not an employee of the university or something. It's all a mess. And I really hate that it's happening in the middle of the season, but that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah. You all
Like
you all get enough of
if you
that.
remember, like we had guys join the team in the middle of the year, but they did the sit out transfer before then. So this is different than
Correct.
like Jameel McKay is eligible now. Like
Deontay
this guy
Burton
was
joined,
literally
yes.
playing in this guy for Baylor was playing in Europe like a couple weeks ago, I think. And now he's on Baylor's roster and he's going to play against Iowa State next week. So I
Insanity.
don't know. But I mean, hey, we've got two awesome teams, got an awesome men's team, got an awesome women's team. So like, let's just enjoy this season for what it is. And God, who knows what next week's going to look like? How do we build a team? But
It's just
I
so
don't know.
weird that you felt like it's been hard to focus on this basketball season, Kenny, just with everything going on, not just with Iowa State, just in the sport. What a crazy like last month it's been.
Yep. Which is why, hey, it's a new year. You got any resolutions? Let's end with this. Any New Year's resolutions for Matt Nelson?
Um, eat, you know, eat. I was gonna try to eat a little healthier. I do watch that pretty closely. How about this? Um, More overreacting tweets during games. Is that a good resolution? Is that what the people want?
I think so. I think my resolution is to actually win at gambling this year. But we'll see
That's a
how
resolution we can
how
both
that
do.
goes.
Um, I resolved to win the family bowl pool that I'm in. I've
I
got
can't
two
believe you
titles,
still
but
do that.
it's been a few years, dude. It's so hard to pick now when you're like it's a 5-7 team against a 6-6 team, and or tonight's game, USC has what 25 opt outs, some absurd number like that. Um, Makes it fun. Yeah, I resolved to win my bowl pool. What else? Resolved to go to the Big 12 tournament, Keeney. Hopefully, we'll see you there. My wife and I were just talking about that with family this past weekend, and I think it'll be a really fun year for that. Can we resolve to make a Final Four? That'd be nice. I think we'd all
I think
appreciate that immensely.
our last resolution needs to be to pick a name for our podcast too.
I like that.
We
Listeners,
will pick a name in
yes,
2026. That is an absolute guarantee.
And we resolved to take more input from you. So call, text, email, instant message, fax.
Direct
Any
message Jake Brend exclusively. He'll field all inquiries.
That's right. Um, Eventually, Keeney, we should start to leave little messages and say, "Hey, tweet at Rob Gray this phrase with just no context," and start trolling some of the folks around here just to make sure they know that there's a little wide right attitude
There's a
here.
little
We'll work on that
crossover
for
here. Yeah.
we'll work
All
on that
right.
for next week.
All
Maybe we
right.
can maybe we can tell them to tweet at them about a certain player's dad. That'll go over well.
Okay. You didn't hear it from me. All right. Matt, this was a blast though. I'm like, just to be sincere, I'm so happy that we get to keep doing content, and you're going to see more from us on like live shows and whatever CF After Dark builds out to. Like, I'm so excited to be a part of it. So,
I am too, and listeners, we appreciate you immensely. How about that's the last thing we should probably leave by saying. Those who tweeted at us or texted us wondering what was going to happen with the show, we're very appreciative of you. You're the reason that we do it. You make it fun.
same podcast feed, by the way. We will be rebranded. This episode will go out without a name on the show, but like this episode's going to go out. You're going to see it in the same place that you always would. So, Matt, this was a lot of fun. I'm going to call it a podcast right now. Get to work on getting this thing out there. But yeah, man, let's beat West Virginia. Talk to you next week.